After 10 years at IRMSA, the organization's Chief Executive Officer, Gillian le Cordeur, is moving on. I think it's fair to say that she leaves this organization in excellent shape, with the well-respected annual risk report and regular conferences and workshops for the risk community as part of her bigger legacy. So she is moving on, as I say. Let's talk to her. Hello, Jill.
Hi, Jeremy.
Tough decision. Why are you going?
Huge decision after 10 years. It's, Jeremy, I think IRMSA is really part of my blood. It's who I've become. I mean, my family, all we do is speak IRMSA. My child goes to school and speaks about the risks that the other kids are facing.
She must be very popular,
she's
yes?
Hugely popular. But I think, there just comes a time where you need to take your next step as well. And I think it is an opportunity not only for myself, but for the Institute as well to take the next step, to see what else is there out there. It's going to be hard for me. I feel like I'm losing a limb, but I'm still going to be able to be involved. But it was a huge decision, and if I don't do it now, when is it going to take place?
All right, so I mentioned the risk report, the conferences, the regular workshops that you hold, but what shape do you leave this organization in?
If I compare where we started 10 years ago and what IRMSA looked like then, Jeremy, and where we are now, I came into an organization that wasn't financially sustainable. If I reflect back to July 2011, I didn't know how we were going to pay the few salaries by the end of the second month. And we were tiny. There were 3 of us as permanent staff. And I leave now knowing that we're leaving an organization where we've got a staff that is taken care of. We've got membership the members are proud to be part of the Institute. Our brand is strong. And the work that we've done and developed, from the qualifications, the board exams, the training, the conferences, the risk report, we've got such a solid foundation, and not just a foundation, but huge growth, where for us to now create more on that, I mean, for any CEO to come in now and to build on this, I think they're looking at great opportunities.
All right, that's the organization itself. Now let's reflect on the discipline, the critical discipline of risk management and how it's changing in South Africa. What changes in that respect have you seen over the past decade?
So it's very, the way we've evolved as risk management, when I started at IRMSA, and I can really align it to the growth of the Institute, where I look at how we've evolved so many times, and I can see 3 distinctive growth periods, where at the beginning it was growing risk management and the actual discipline in terms of creating education, creating certification. And we're at the point now where we've got designations for professionals, where we've got credibility in the market, and with risk management, where we are being recognized within the boardroom. Whereas before, it was very much, 10 years ago, you found it was very compliance driven, we have to have a risk manager, is everything okay, let's just, we've got a risk register, tick.
Now it's part of the fabric.
It has to be part of the fabric, or else if you do not bring in risk management right from the beginning of that strategic decision, you're going to have a huge failure on your hands, which we've seen. We've seen many of these governance failures where risk management was not part of strategy and the decision making. And so it's an integral part of any organization and being embedded. And I think that's where we've evolved so much, where we see how different risk management is from 10 years ago. From 2 years ago even, we've seen that growth.
Which leads me on to the next question. My association with your organization also goes back about a decade. And when you first spoke to me and you mentioned the word risk, I thought it was a board game. So
it's a much more popular board game now.
I think it still is a board game. But I've also come to appreciate the importance of risk. But tell me why a risk profession is now one to choose, and why it is not necessarily revered, but certainly respected.
So I think it's a definite kind of mind that you need in terms of being able to be creative, that qualitative and the quantitative. I think it's a very special person where they have to look into that future. We need to be able to do it, but you need to be quite logical about it. It's not a crystal ball where we're thinking, let me look into the future. You have to be quite system thinking about, well, what can this future look, what is the impact on the organization? So to be able to be that kind of person where you can really look at using the skills that you've got and all the various areas in terms of where you've learned within your qualifications and your degrees. But how do I think more? How do I open mind to not only the risks but the opportunities that which is risk management? What is out there that we are missing or that we will potentially have that will harm our organization? Now imagine that kind of person taking on a role. I think it's such an exciting profession. To be honest with you, when I started at IRMSA as well, I wasn't a risk professional either. I'm a business leader, and I absolutely love risk management. Every decision I make, every step of the way with IRMSA strategy, risk management is the discipline we use, and I use it for myself, and obviously my family uses it as well. But it's a very exciting career to have.
It's also steeped in objectivity. The kind of person that I've engaged with is neither pessimistic nor optimistic. It's looking at it functionally.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've got some sharp people that are working in risk management, and I think, and it's a very special person who is able to use that, the objectivity and the creativity, and they need to have incredibly strong communication skills. I think the skills that our risk professionals need these days, and they spelled out beautifully in our risk report. If you look at what the various areas that a risk professional needs in that risk report, you've just got people that are these big thinkers and able to sit at that board table. They're able to influence, and they have that credibility.
I'm glad, Jill, that you've raised the risk report. It's become a planning primer in business in South Africa. To what do you attribute its growing success to?
So I think the first thing, and I don't know if you know how it started, Jeremy, actually.
I don't.
So we're on the 6th edition now. So about 6-7 years ago, we just started our Risk Intelligence Committee, and that's one thing IRMSA has done over the years. We started little working groups and hubs, and we started this Risk Intelligence Committee because we didn't have anything really going out with strong thought leadership. And we were sitting around the table and thinking, well, what can we do? And we were reflecting on the World Economic Report, and we looked at, the area in Africa, and we thought, but there's nothing for South Africa. So let's just put a little report together and see if we can build on that for South Africa. Ended up being the risk report, and getting our members involved through surveys and so on, and really quite a small risk report for that very first year that has grown. And I think you've seen that evolution of the risk report, how we've grown each year. I mean, it's a fantastic document that has really grown with its credibility and the brand of South African. And the report is not for that risk professional, as you know. That report is for an organization, it's for that CEO. And I think it's starting, or it has achieved its place rightfully on that board table. And I think that's been big step for us.
I could not agree with you more. It's the strategy blueprint which informs the rest of the operational dynamics of a company. It's absolutely vital. We sit, Gillian le Cordeur, in what one hopes is a post-pandemic environment, but not quite. If you get my drift. We are still practicing social distancing, and your organization, more than any other, has got to realize the importance of all the preventative measures that need to be taken. But I'm also assuming that you're seeing a change in risk management protocol in the pandemic and post-pandemic. What do risk professionals, what do board members need to be thinking about in that respect, I wonder?
Well, I think it's something that we're all talking about at the moment. There are two things for me that come to mind, Jeremy. And the first thing was how many organizations were not prepared for this pandemic. And I think we saw the knock on so many organizations and their teams. I mean, we've just seen, you've heard disaster stories during this time.
Sure.
So the thing is, what is the next pandemic? I think we've come into 2021, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, where we see that organizations are ready. So if we need to have a lockdown in July, if there's a third wave, we're ready. We know how to operate now. We're very resilient. But last year, so many organizations were not ready. And I think so now it's the thinking, so what is that next pandemic? And the other thing is, Jeremy, is how do we work virtually now? What are the things that you need to have in place to ensure the productivity, that your staff are working effectively, what are the cyber risks involved with having people working virtually. There are so many things around this future way of working that is no longer future, that is now. And is your organization ready to handle it? Do you have the right people working? Do you have the support? Do they know what they're doing? And how do you build your youth coming through as well? And I think that's also going to be vital.
And it's something that you are looking at and recalibrating in real time.
I think we always are.
Yeah, that's absolutely critical. A couple more questions before we close this. The latest risk report, and I was fascinated by this, says a lack of strong leadership is the single biggest risk facing South Africa right now. I wonder why that is and how to manage it.
Gosh, you know what, Jeremy, there are a few things there.
Were you surprised at that outcome, first of all?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You're closer to it than I am. Yeah.
No, and I think, well, we spoke about the risk professional and what they need to be, and I mean, you are looking and facing the news every single day, and the failures that we have in our country, and you see it globally as well. And so when it comes to leadership, I mean, there are a couple of ththings. The one is the credibility. Are we sure that we've got the right people with the right skill set in place? Do we really? Are we, and then a big thing, ethics as well. What is the moral compass involved? Because for us to create this better South Africa and strong organizations, there are quite a few factors that need to be in place, Jeremy. And so I think we need to really raise the flag on, do we have the right people in the top? Are they ready? Are they well groomed? Are they risk professionals? Really, for me, that's important. And then how strong is that ethical guide that we've got in place in the country?
Final question. Where to now for you?
So exciting stuff for me. I'll still be able to be linked with IRMSA. I'm not going to say yet, Jeremy, where I'll be. I'll be able to share that because my blood is still within IRMSA. I'm still very committed, and even though I'm ending, my tenure as the IRMSA CEO, I still will for the next few months be linked, but I will be sharing where I'm going. It's very, very exciting, and I do feel a little bit like a kid in a candy shop with all my new exciting things happening on my journey.
And Gillian le Cordeur, I know I speak on behalf of the staff in the organisation as well as the broad membership when I say thank you. Well done for a job well done, and good luck in the future.
Thank you, Jeremy.